Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Mike Elko in Texas A&M. Look, I think the country is starting to come around to this football team being really damn dangerous in 2025. The question and conversation that I want to get into today is, hey, how does Texas A&M take that next step? I think even the most pessimistic Texas A&M fans, they're looking at Texas A&M and saying, hey, we think we're a college football playoff team. We think we have the ability to compete for an SEC championship. Heck, I wouldn't even rule out competing for a national championship, but we still have to take some steps. We still have to get better as a football team if we want to go out and do that. That's the conversation I want to get into. Now, we're going to talk about the good. We're going to talk about what's making Texas A&M a legitimate top 5 team in the country, but I also want to open the floor up for hey, how can this football team continue to get better as we go into November? Because that's always the conversation. You know, when you want to win an SEC championship, when you want to win a national championship, it matters about maximizing your football team when it matters most. That was something that Texas A&M didn't do last year that you're hoping to see them do in 2025. Fired up to get into it. Before we do, and as always, now I got to start with just a massive shout out to the Texas A&M fans. This football team, really, since Mike Elko has taken over, has been a freaking blast to talk about. And the amount of support that this fan base has shown the boys has been amazing. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. More importantly, would love to hear your thoughts, opinions in it. All right, if there's one thing that you want to see Texas A&M take the biggest step in, what would that be? Now, I want to start with this. Hey, replacing Le'Veon Moss. And I'll say this, it fundamentally feels different than when Le'Veon Moss went down last year at this time. Texas A&M didn't have any other answers, right? I mean, Le'Veon Moss was their trump card. And without Le'Veon Moss, what other player on offense was striking fear into opposing defenses? The answer is none. I mean, you look at this team in 2025 and say, hey, not only do we like a few cats in the running back room that we'll talk about, we also got really dynamic guys on the outside. So there's just more purely playmaking ability. Now, when you talk about replacing Le'Veon Moss, I think you have to start with the conversation of, all right, what's the elite skill set that we really have to replace? And in my opinion, it's Le'Veon Moss's physicality. It's his ability to thrive in short yardage situations, but most importantly, keep this Texas A&M offense on schedule. He's the definition of extraordinary contact balance, extraordinary leg driving. He's going to turn a 2nd and 8 into a 2nd and 6. He's going to turn a 3rd and 4 into a 3rd and 2. His ability to keep this offense on schedule, that's really the best asset that he brings to the Texas A&M offense. The real difference in the running back room is what you've seen from Rueben Owens, who I don't think he was great against Florida, but I thought he was really good against Mississippi State 2 weeks ago. So we've seen the flashes. We've seen, and here's the other part about Rueben Owens. We've seen him show the ability to be that bell cow running back one in Le'Veon Moss's absence. You know, he had 21 carries against Mississippi State. He had 17 carries against Florida. That was, to a lot of Texas A&M fans, I think one of the question marks you had about Rueben Owens being a running back one is, can he handle a workload of a real running back one in the SEC? He's shown you that through the last couple of weeks. The other thing I really do like is 189 yards after contact for Rueben Owens on the year. I mean, he's not only averaging nearly 6 yards per carry, but the 189 yards after contact, his ability to do the dirty work that Le'Veon Moss provides, that's big. That's probably going to be the most important storyline for Rueben Owens, because one thing we love about Rueben Owens that maybe Le'Veon Moss does not offer, that home run hitting ability, right? Le'Veon Moss on the year only had 4 carries of 15 plus yards. Rueben Owens has 7, right? So you look at Rueben Owens' ability to say, hey, we want to make sure he can get the hard yards, but probably provides a little bit more of an explosive element. That's probably where it starts. Now, the other conversation is there are so many different ways and guys that Texas A&M can lean on in the run game. Something Colin Klein doesn't get enough credit for, excuse me, is how well he schemes up and dials up a run game, right? And you're already seeing it with the amount of different ways Texas A&M is choosing to run the football, whether it's inside zone, whether it's some pin and pull, whether it's some stuff like some outside zone gap scheme. They throw the kitchen sink at you, right? You also got a lot of different guys who can tote the rock. I thought you saw some really good things from EJ Smith at the end of that Florida game. Jamarian Morrow, he is probably the next guy that you're looking at where, all right, if Ruben Owens is going to get 20 carries a game, can Jamarian Morrow take 10 of them? And here's the thing with Jamarian Morrow is you get him on the football field, you can use him in a ton of different ways. Him as a pass catcher coming out of the backfield, we saw it against Florida. That's a potential difference maker. Now, the other thing is you got Marcel Reed, who we haven't seen Texas A&M fully utilize on the ground, and I think they're willing to do it, and I think they're willing to do it in big moments and big games. But do you want Marcel? Say if you're going to beat Arkansas by 14 points, and I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but if you are, do you need to run Marcel Reed 15 times in a football game? No, probably not. But you do have that ability to get Marcel Reed involved in the run game as well. How about the end arounds? Like Mario Craver, Casey Concepcion, their ability to give you 2 or 3 carries a game on the perimeter is certainly something you can utilize. Terry Bussey, you'll probably throw him into that category as well. I wonder if we see some Terry Bussey in the backfield during Le'Veon Moss's absence. There is simply more answers on this roster this year than you had in 2024. Here's the other thing. The passing attack has been really good, especially that quick game. Marcel Reed has taken a monster step when it comes to the short and intermediate passing concepts. Really consistent. Marcel Reed throwing the deep ball still lacks a little consistency, and we'll talk about that. Him inside of 10 yards, and you can use the quick game to replace some of that rushing production as well. Here's one of the steps I want to see is number one, Marcel Reed being more consistent with that deep ball. That's going to matter. You know, when you play a team like Texas at the end of the year, play a team like LSU next week, when you have the ability to go change a game with the deep ball, if you want to win an SEC championship, if you want to win a national championship, you have to make those throws more time than not. And you want to see Marcel Reed continue to take that step. The other thing is, hey, who's going to emerge as that third option? And I said wide receiver 3. I think the better way to put it is pass catcher 3. Like Mario Craver, Casey Concepcion, they are going to get the lion's share of targets, and rightfully so. They're 2 of the best playmakers in the sport. Do we have a third answer? And you've seen some flashes from a couple of different avenues. You know, number one, Ashton Bethel Roman and Terry Bussey. Your 2 quote unquote wide receiver 3s. You haven't seen either of them fully break out. If you're a Texas A&M fan that follows the recruiting trail, you know the capability that both of them have. How about the tight ends? Texas A&M has leaned into a lot of 2 tight end sets. And like I think you have guys that can get it done as run blockers, but also a guy like Amari Niblack, he might be the most dangerous pass catching tight end that you have on your roster. Can you get him more involved as that third pass catching option? Jamarian Morrow in the backfield, especially with Le'Veon Moss going to be sidelined for the next couple of weeks. If he's on the football field, can you use him more than just a standard running back? Because this kid, when he has the football in space, really dangerous. I don't know if Texas A&M is going to give him 10 carries a game, but can you get him 10 touches a game? Can you include him as a route runner out of the backfield? Because that's a matchup nightmare for a lot of these linebackers that are trying to follow him out of the backfield in these passing concepts. I think the best way to put this conversation is this is one of the most explosive offenses that you see in the country, and that's the most important stat when you're looking at elite offenses, their ability to hit explosive plays. Texas A&M has that. Can we take a small step in the efficiency and the consistency of this Texas A&M offense? Avoid some of those 3 and outs, avoid some of the ruts that we see. And if we do that, You're looking at one of the better offenses in the SEC. Now, how about this? The Texas A&M defense, which has been the bigger storyline. Marcel Reed's been really good. Mario Craver's been really good. The offensive line, I probably should have noted it. Can we take a step back and talk about this offensive line and pass pro? Last year in 2024, with a very similar offensive line, in 12 games, gave up 110 quarterback pressures. We are halfway through 2025. Through 6 games, we've only given up 35. Way better in terms of keeping Marcel Reed clean in the pocket. And I think Marcel Reed's getting better getting the ball out of his hands. And I think Marcel Reed's getting way better at managing pockets too. We're not taking the negative plays that we took. And the big storyline was Texas A&M could block up the average defensive fronts on their schedule last year. When they played a team like Texas, when they played a team like South Carolina, you saw Texas A&M at times struggle to block some of the best defensive lines that we saw. Florida's one of them. As bad as Florida is as a football team, that defensive line is one of the better defensive lines in this conference. I thought Texas A&M did an exceptional job keeping Marcel Reed clean. All right, defensive side of the football. Now, what has changed with this defense? What has made this Texas A&M defense, especially the last 3 weeks, one of the best defenses in the country? I think it starts. There's really 3 things I have written down. Number one, tackling run fits. We're doing the simple stuff, the fundamental stuff at a way higher level. Defensive line's getting off blocks. The linebackers are fitting the run the right way. When we have the opportunity to bring ball carriers to the ground, ball carriers are getting brought to the ground. That's not earth-shattering. The other thing, man, I think what they're doing in coverage has been really good, even against Florida. And look, Florida got theirs because they got a talented quarterback that can make high-level throws. They got really talented wide receivers. When Texas A&M got beat early in the first quarter, it was just good. You have to just golf clap, tip your cap to what Florida did. And I think the question was, hey, can Florida sustain that for 4 quarters? And they couldn't. The biggest thing I'm seeing with this Texas A&M secondary, especially when they go to zone coverage, is that they're making you be really perfect if you want to beat them. There are not a ton of open throwing windows. Our zone drops are really, really good. Linebackers are getting the right depth. I think the communication in the back end's been really good. If you force teams at the college ranks to be perfect in the passing attack, chances are you're going to win a lot of football games, especially this year where you don't see that many quarterbacks who are perfect. And I think that's been, and obviously what they've done on third downs. When you don't miss tackles and you don't give up explosive plays, and then you get off the field on third downs, don't take a rocket scientist. You're probably going to be pretty damn good on defense. That's exactly what Texas A&M has done. Last one, and this is to me the biggest step. Who's going to complement Cassius Howell? And what I mean by that is Cassius Howell is, let's just say it how it is, right? He's the best edge rusher that we see in this conference right now as a pure pass rusher. Like, I'm taking Cassius over Colin Simmons right now, taking Cassius over Dylan Stewart right now. That's just a fact. That's what the film has told us. How does this A&M defense take that next step? Hey, who is going to be the guy on the other side? And that might have been the biggest storyline that I got from Florida, is that Deion Hayes played the best game that we've seen Deion Hayes play as an Aggie. Man, what happens if Deion Hayes puts it all together in the backstretch for Texas A&M? All of a sudden, all right, you got one guy you got to try to figure out how to deal with. Throw some double teams, tight end shifts, running backs helping in the backfield. Well, how are you going to deal with the guy on the other side? And we haven't necessarily seen that guy on the other side fully put it together yet. But Deion Hayes, he was really disruptive against Florida. If we get that version of Deion Hayes, the back half of the season, you're looking at this Texas A&M defense that's been pretty damn great, and they can take that step to being elite, being one of the best defenses in the country. It's a really fun conversation because Texas A&M's been really good, but I feel like there's still ways for this football team to get better over the next couple of weeks, and that's the most important conversation that we got to have with Texas A&M. We'll close it out there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.